this is what it's coming to. And in one of the articles that I was reading, it actually said, good thing that she's getting away from somebody who's so ugly inside. And I completely agree. Mm-hmm. But the premise for this lawsuit was that she had plastic surgery. First, he tried to sue her for infidelity. And then I think we're getting a little bit... Greg, do you have the stream on by any chance?
Not anymore.
No, okay, good. Yeah, you can hear that coming through. Anyways, he sued her for infidelity, first of all, because he didn't believe that that was his baby. And then she says, no, I actually had plastic surgery. I was actually really ugly before, and she sent him a picture. And then he sued her for entering into the marriage under false pretenses. I mean, this is what the world is coming to, ladies and gentlemen. I just don't understand, but I'm very glad that we're all, at least some of us, our listening audience, for instance, our guests, ourselves, we're all moving into 5D. And we can leave these petty things behind us, but it's just really heartbreaking to hear the shallowness of humanity. But we're very lucky to have Gregg of In 5D on with us. And Gregg began his spiritual journey through truth-seeking with a perpetual asking of the question, why? Why? I'm sorry, me and Sheree have kind of an inside joke.
Yeah.
The Family Guy thing. If anybody's ever seen it out there, Peter's ancestor, I think, is a philosopher. And his wife is saying, get a job. And he says, why? Why? So that's a little giggle there.
Asking the great questions.
Yes. After watching The Secret, he received a galactic download of the information and was guided to build in5d.com, along with Maya 12-21-2012.com, despite not knowing anything about how to build websites. His main motivation is to bring like-minded individuals and soul groups together on a common platform, and he is definitely fulfilling his dharma. Gregg, welcome to the show.
Hi, Chris. Hi, Sheree. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
It's very nice having you. I've got to say, first of all, thank you so much for downloading our shows and putting them up on YouTube and sharing them with your vast audience. We're very, very grateful for that. And we can tell that you put a lot of work into compiling all of this information. I mean, when do you have time to sleep?
Well, it's funny. I end up working probably between 12 to 15 hours every day, 365 days a year since 2008.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's a never-ending process. But you know what? When you do something that you love doing, it doesn't even seem like work.
Exactly. That's the way we feel about Truth Frequency. It's our passion. It's our love. It's everything. I couldn't imagine life without it at this point. We've talked about going back to our normal lives and focusing on the day business that we do and just putting all this behind us. But it's just become such part of us that we just cannot walk away. I do have to say, I watched one of the recent YouTube videos where you announced that you were going to be on the show this evening, and you were talking about being an introvert. And, you know,
Yep.
Actually, I am the same way, believe it or not. About 5 years ago, before I started doing the show, I used to get anxiety in public.
Uh-huh.
I would get panic attacks. My chest would hurt. I would say, I couldn't breathe. I couldn't speak. And then I got on the radio, and here I am just talking, babbling on and on and on. So I know exactly
what
you're feeling.
You guys do such an awesome job, first of all, and I want to thank you for allowing me to put those videos up on YouTube. That's for an introvert, yeah. I can totally relate to that. I number one, as I mentioned to you before, I don't like being the center of attention, and generally most introverts don't. But the interesting thing is that I put a video out there, and it's about the Briggs-Myers personality test. So I encourage people to take the test, and it's these 70 questions that they ask you, and at the end they issue you these 4 letters. And the first letter tells you whether you're an introvert or not. And there's several thousand people that responded. I'd say probably a good 90% of them are introverted. And when you look at like some of the world's most popular introverts, I guess the most notable one would be Gandhi. So, for all you people out there that are introverted, that can relate to Chris and myself, we're in good company.
Yes, definitely, definitely. But we do have to break away from that. We have to get out there. We have to speak to the people. As a matter of fact, every time we do a show, I probably do 20, 30 hours of research prior to every show. And then everything that I've written down just gets thrown out the window because I just open my mouth and let the universe.
Yeah, I can understand that. Sometimes it just has to flow. You just go with it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, tell us a little bit about In5D, for the people that have been living under a rock and don't know about it, but you have just so many resources on there.
Yeah, it's really loaded up. Well, it's interesting, actually, how In5D came about. Let me get into that first.
Okay.
Yeah, I went to my ex's house to pick up my daughter, and my daughter was getting ready to come to my house, and my ex, Amy, asked me, have you ever seen The Secret? Do you have trailer to it? And I'm like, no. She's like, well, it's right up your alley. You're into metaphysics and stuff. You want to check it out? I'm like, okay. So I checked it out, and I was so impressed by it that by the time I got home, I went online and I ordered it. And one of the things they talk about in The Secret is to ask the universe for ideas and directions. So I did that. And the only thing I can say is I received this, what I can call a galactic download of information and guidance and direction, and not just for me, but for everybody, friends of mine and family and stuff. And it led me as to specifically building In5D. Even the name In5D came to me from the universe. So that's pretty much what led me here to building this website that's become huge.
Well, I can definitely relate to the downloading of information. I'm becoming more and more aware recently, or as of late, I should say, of I don't even know what it is. My intuition is just off the charts. I'm seeing these beings, and it's weird. I've talked about this before, but it's these beings just walking around, not even doing anything, not even acknowledging me, just walking around. I'll see one walking behind a tree and expect to see, it looks just like a person. And I expect them to see walk on the other side of the tree, and they never do. And I'm starting to realize, wait a minute, my frequency range is shifting. It's getting broader. I'm seeing more of what's out there. Are you noticing things like this happening to you as well?
Well, definitely. And as a matter of fact, that's one of the articles that I'm working on right now is about seeing these energies. You know, you might be typing away on your computer or watching TV or something like that, and you'll catch something out of the corner of your eye, and you look and there's nothing there, but you know there's something there. So, yeah, I'm definitely picking up on that. And I've talked to a bunch of people about that on Facebook, and they're picking up on the same thing, too. So trust me, brother, you are not alone.
Good. I'm glad to hear that because I think that's definitely a sign of the shift that is coming. Cherie, did you want to chime in?
Well, I was just going to say, it seems like people are finally getting the point that we don't have to have fighting, warfare, and constant struggle anymore. We're to the point now where we've evolved enough, technologically at least, to provide for everybody and not have to use GMO and not have to use outrageous amounts of mercury and all this stuff in our food. And the people have spoken, and that's what they want. They want clean food, clean air, clean water, and they want the technology and to bring all those things about. They want free energy. They know what they want at least. And we didn't have that 10 years ago. 10 years ago, we didn't even know that we needed anything. Now we know what we need, and we know that we want those things.
Well, I'll tell you, right now what we're seeing is this are a bunch of new energy systems that are coming in, and some that are really positive, such as, we're entering the age of Aquarius. And some, they're designed to break down the current systems. Like, for example, Pluto is in Capricorn right now, and it's there until 2023. Now, the last time that Pluto was in Capricorn was in 1776 during the American Revolution, and when you look around what's going on throughout all these different countries, revolution.
Right.
So, all these energies are starting to change, and they're bringing about, in my opinion, the opportunity to rebuild everything the way it needs to be. And in my own opinion, we're already seeing the collapse of governments, the collapse of the money system. All these banks are closing, and religion is starting to crumble in upon itself. Mm-hmm. And the educational system, all four of those will need to be rebuilt in a way that's sustainable and in the best interest of humanity.
Absolutely. Let me ask you this, Greg. How does 2012 play into all of this? I mean, I know the answer to this, and I know that what my feelings are, but as we move closer to 2012, it is like being sucked into a black hole or something. You can't escape the consciousness shift that's pulling on everybody right now.
Definitely. There's something that's obvious, and when it comes to the whole energy shift, the amount of people that are waking up right now, you can't specifically pinpoint it exactly why, but it's happening. Maybe it had something to do with that. I think it was the 1987 convergence, but it also has a lot to do with the whole changing of the energies that are going on right now. And the way I see it, and I've been asked this a lot of times, it's kind of like the change of seasons where you go from fall to winter. You know, it's a gradual change. It's happening right now. It's already happening. And you just got to laugh at some of these people saying, well, I'm going to laugh at you on December 22nd, 2012. Well, laugh all you want because it's happening right now.
Well, you know what my favorite is? When people say, I don't believe in December 21st, 2012. And I say, really? Don't? It's really going to come. I promise you it's going to come. It happened, I don't know, but I guarantee you it will be here.
Yep. Yeah. Well, like I said, you know, it's the whole energy thing that's going on right now. And I just put together an article about these shifts that are changing, these alignments that are going on, and there's a transformation that's going on right now, and there's these specific alignments that are happening right now as well. For example, there's a Scorpio new moon that is also a total eclipse new moon that's going to bring about some pretty earth-shaking changes in our immediate near future. As well as there's a guy, his name's Carl Boudreau, and he mentions that, and he's a wonderful astrologer, he mentions on his latest video that there's going to be these really intense changes, that you're going to see some perhaps riots or civil unrest and dissension coming up. But you know what? It all has to happen. It all has to collapse in order for it to be rebuilt the right way.
Well, it's already happening. We have Google, who has admitted that they have been ordered by the government at a much higher rate than normal to pull certain YouTube videos about protests and riots in other countries, not report on certain things. We have, what is that young lady's name? I don't remember off the top of my head. Amber Lynn.
Oh, she's great.
Yeah, she just came out and said, all the news is scripted. They're telling us what to report on, what not to report on.
Oh, yeah.
It's all falling apart, but it's all coming to pass just as these 2012 researchers are saying.
Well, and it's kind of like it is a Luciferian argument that he wants to create must first destroy. You have to break it down first before you can build it back up again. It's just the cycle of things. If you never threw anything away, can you imagine how ugly your life would be? You would have everything you ever should have thrown away but didn't piled up everywhere all around you.
Well, it's not even Luciferianism, though. It's Hinduism, too. Shiva is the god of destroyer, or goddess of destroyers. Shiva, male or female, I don't remember. Anyways, but she destroys before she rebuilds.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, Sheree, because I don't know if you guys have noticed this, too, but a lot of people I'm talking to, you know, they're saying, well, you know, I'm going to sell off a bunch of stuff. It's not because of the economy. They just want to downsize for some reason. They want to get rid of all the stuff that's in their lives, you know, that's just sitting around and doing no good. And that goes into so many different facets of our lives. You know, people are losing friends because they don't understand what's going on. That happened to me with my best friend. He and I were best friends since we were 6 years old, and he kept ridiculing my friends on Facebook. So in private, I told him, hey, you know, this isn't cool. Stop doing it. But he kept doing it, so I unfriended him. And that kind of hurt. But, you know, that's what's going on right now. We're getting rid of a lot of stuff. And that includes relationships and friends and possessions. And it's all happening right now.
You know, it's so weird that you just mentioned that. Chris has had the same kind of thing happening to him lately.
Yeah. It started, I would say, in 2011 when we moved. 2010, actually. We moved from one house to another, threw away literally everything we had. Then we moved again in 2011, and we literally threw away everything we had except for the studio equipment. And we went from a huge house on a ranch with lots of land to another huge house without land to a one-bedroom apartment. And now we've got a little two-bedroom condo or three-bedroom condo, so we each have a little office and stuff like that. But we've thrown literally everything away And unfortunately, I have had to stop talking to certain people, remove certain energies from my life, and it's heartbreaking. It really is heartbreaking, but
it is.
Yeah, I remember listening to David Icke when Cherie and I went and saw him, and he said something to the effect of, as the shift starts to take place, old friends will start to go away, new friends will appear into the scene, and it's okay. These things have to happen.
I'll tell you, and I was just talking to a friend of mine a few minutes ago, Sherry, about this. When I wrote that article, I have an article called So Your Spiritual Awakening Cost You Some Friends. And when I wrote that article, it seemed like it was written in perhaps 5 minutes. I know it took longer than that, but it was almost like automatic writing where I was being guided to write it. And as it turns out, it's one of the most popular and viewed articles on Inside-D, because a lot of people can relate to that. You know, a lot of people are, losing their friends. We all have friends and family that look at us like we have 3 eyes and 2 heads when we start talking about some of the stuff that we're talking about. But it's just not their time to wake up. And the end of the article closes with that poem that was written anonymously by somebody, who knows who, but it's a season, a reason, and a lifetime. And that's why people come into your life. So you just got to acknowledge it and be thankful that they were in your life for the time being that they were, and be grateful and release them with love and no bad feelings whatsoever.
It reminds me of what Dolores Cannon said when she was on our show one time, that basically before you came here, you made a contract with all the people that you were ever going to meet in this next lifetime. You made a contract with each and every one of them saying, okay, I'm going to play this role, and then you're going to play the mother role, or you're going to play the father role, or you're going to play the sister, or the brother, or the friend, or the best friend, or whatever, or the bad guy, or the good guy, or whatever. And it's solely to help us learn. That's all. I completely agree. And I love Dolores Cannon. She has so much fascinating material. It makes me wonder, and it's a very controversial subject about child abuse, because I am a child and family therapist also. I think about the past lives and karma, and is it possible that the children who are being abused were the abusers in a previous lifetime, and that they needed to experience what it was like to be on the other side?
I have pondered that myself.
I have too. Yeah.
I've believed that the souls have to experience everything from the negative to the most positive. I feel like I'm on my last lifetime, though. That
I hope we all are.
Yes.
And that goes for everybody in the listening audience.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. I hope so.
I think we've all played the slave. We've all played the dictator. We've all played all of these different roles. And
definitely.
Just so that we can learn.
We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen, right here on Truth Frequency with Gregg of Inside-D. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, with Gregg of Inside-D.com, talking about ascending to 5D and the shift that is taking place right now that everybody is feeling. Like I've said before, even people that are not in tune with this information are feeling it as well. I was talking to my brother, who is very, very 5 sense reality based. He's all about the bling and driving the nicest cars, and he was where I was about 10 years ago. So it's all an evolutionary path that we walk, but even he's telling me that he's experiencing prophetic dreams and higher intuition. Gregg, what would you tell people that are experiencing this, that haven't quite put a harness on it yet and don't really quite understand what's going on?
That's a great question. What I tend to do is, for example, if I'm at the grocery store, I'll bring up topics such as, wow, I didn't realize there's high fructose corn syrup in this. Do you know anything about that? Just kind of segue into topics and try not to force people into, well, you haven't heard the latest about Obama or Romney or whatever. You just want to let them make it almost seem like it's their idea. So, yeah, and that's what I ended up doing with my parents. Originally, I was bringing all this stuff to them, and they looked at me like I had 3 heads. And but now, it's funny because my mom does these water aerobics in the morning, and my dad goes there and he talks with the guys while the ladies are doing their aerobics, and they're all talking about this stuff. And here we have people that are in their 70s and 80s that are starting to awaken. We're finally reaching people that we thought were unreachable. So don't give up, but try to do it tactfully.
Yeah. It's really hard, though, isn't it, to not say, oh, bless your heart, you don't know about this. Oh, bless your heart. That's so sad. Okay.
Well, you know what? Everybody seems to be, in my opinion, on their path, the exact path that they need to be going. You know, you have your truth fighters right now, and they need to be doing exactly that. You have your people that are unawakened, that listen to everything that's on the mainstream media, and, you know, that can be a good thing, too, because, you know, maybe they're not, you know, all tied up in everything that's going on right now, and maybe they're not ready to hear all this stuff yet. But everybody is on the exact path and doing exactly what they need to be doing. And thankfully, we have all these light workers all around the world that are anchoring light. And no matter where you're at, just keep bringing that positive energy, because it is making a difference.
I don't know if you've gotten into this at all, Greg, but we recently had the electric company come out to the house and install smart meters. And I called them today, and I raised a huge fuss about it, and they said, we will not come back and replace them with the analog meters. And I said, okay, well, then I'll buy one and I'll replace it. No, you can't do that either. And number one, the person I was speaking to had no idea these were even smart meters. She says, well, they're just the meters we always use. It was, I mean, just unbelievable at the lack of knowledge she had on this subject. And so, of course, I educated her pretty thoroughly on the dangers of the smart meters, but they still refused. They said there's absolutely no way that they will come out here and replace the analog meters.
You know, you got to feel sorry for some of these people, too, because they're just trying to do their job and put food on their tables and stuff like that, and they're just following orders. And but yet they're unaware. It's like the people that are putting fluoride in our city tap water. You know, they have no clue. They think it's good for you. You know, all these dentists recommend putting it in and so on and so forth, but they have no clue of where the fluoride actually comes from, and that if you were to actually dump it into like a river, it would kill everything in it.
Well, it's kind of
yeah.
Well, it's kind of like that movie. What's the one with all the clones? And they live underground. They're asking, where do all the tubes go? And that one question.
THX?
No, it's the other one. The one that, oh man,
God, I don't know.
Got the name of it, but it came out back in like 2005. And
oh, I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, that one. They ask, where do all the tubes go? And that's the $1 million question right there: is where does all the fluoride come from? Where do all the tubes go? What's Soylent Green really made out of? You know, and GMO, the fetus cells in Pepsi, things like that. We are becoming that dystopic future that was predicted.
Well, it is. There is something that's happening, and you guys, I know, have seen it. As a matter of fact, you just mentioned it with Amber from CNN. You know, these whistleblowers are coming out of the woodwork right now. You know, and we're going to continue to see that. You know, as we continue into the age of Aquarius, which brings out the truth. But more so as we are heading towards December 21st, there are going to be a lot of people who think that, well, what if this is the end? You know, and they're going to want to go out with a clear conscience and so on and so forth. And you're going to see a lot more whistleblowers coming out, and it's really exciting. And who knows, that could include the release of some free energy technologies, or who knows. But it's pretty exciting to watch this all play out right now.
Well, what's funny is we're in our 4th year of broadcasting now. Our first year, literally, it was like the 3rd or 4th show we did, we had Michael Tessarian on. And he said, what's going to happen is this whole thing is going to crumble because of the Plutonian force. And he said it's going to be whistleblowers. It's going to be people from the inside bringing down the system. Almost 4 years later, sure enough, here we are.
Oh, I agree with that. You know, and a lot of people will discount astrology, you know, and for the most the cycles of time and how they relate. This is what the Maya were trying to tell us. You know, they built this calendar that's immaculate that pointed out the end of the precession of the equinoxes. It also gives us every lunar eclipse within, I think, like 20 seconds. It's like one of the most accurate calendars ever. You know, so it's all about the whole cycles of time right now, and what we have to do is we need to learn from them. It's kind of like the law of attraction and The Secret. You know, it's going to keep coming into your face until you finally learn. So what have we learned over the cycles of time? What is the lesson that needs to be learned during this particular cycle? that's what we have to look at.
You know, it's interesting you brought the calendar up because many people say that December 21st, at the end date of the calendar, is not accurate, and they're saying because of the change in the Gregorian calendar and blah, 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 blah. But my views on it is, wait a minute, this is a solar and lunar calendar. It's not a calendar based on days. So, and it is definitely accurate, and I think it's off by 20 or 30 seconds, like you said. So it's still pretty accurate. So I would say December 21st is the actual date, and the naysayers who are saying that it's not the end of the calendar, they really don't understand how the calendar functions.
Well, exactly. The calendar was invented long before the Julian calendar or the Gregorian calendar, and as a matter of fact, there's like an interesting story behind the Gregorian calendar. Apparently, when they had the Spanish Inquisition, they said that they brought back all these texts, but what really happened was, or that they burned the text, but what really happened was they brought them back to Pope Gregory. He hired Clavius and a team of mathematicians who deciphered the Mayan codices, and they figured out that, it is December 21st, 2012, that is this big date in history. So they built their calendar around this date and then aligned all the pagan holidays, which are now Christian holidays,
right,
to that calendar. So in that sense, now we have the Gregorian calendar, which is all based on essentially the Mayan codices.
It's interesting how Christianity has merged with paganism. Now we're coming towards the end of 2012, and we're seeing the merger of a lot of polar opposite ideas coming together almost in singularity, as the same way Terence McKenna was speaking of it. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, McKenna believes that time is spiraling toward the singularity, and when you look around, and I made a video and an article on this on N5D about the whole time is speeding up phenomena, and a lot of people will say, well, it's because you're getting older. Well, that's not true, because my daughter, who's in college, she's 18, she's saying the same thing. I have a live chat on the bottom of every page on InsideD.com, and there's people that chat there 24/7. You can go there at 4 o'clock in the morning, no matter where you are in the world, and there's going to be like-minded people chatting there. But people are talking about that too. It's a really strange phenomena that it just feels like time is speeding up. Ian Lungold said that eventually what's going to happen is similar to what McKenna said, is that we are spiraling towards the singularity, and everything that could possibly happen will happen at the same time, according to Ian Lungold.
I agree with that, and I've got to tell you, I looked at the calendar yesterday. I looked at the date, or the day before yesterday was the 24th, and I looked at it, and I'm like, oh my God, it's the 24th already. It was just like yesterday. It was October 1st. And this whole month just flew by. And I love Halloween. I love the haunted houses. I love all that. I haven't had a chance to do anything because it just flew by so quickly.
I know. And all these holidays too. It's funny how Christmas is coming upon us, and how the Christianity kind of hijacked Christmas. It was actually called. You probably know this, Chris. It was called Saturnalia.
Right.
Or it's Christmas. It was a week-long celebration, so to speak, I guess, of debauchery and lawlessness.
Right.
And that's what Christmas is, and it's so funny when you try to tell people that, and they look at you once again like you have 3 eyes and 2 heads.
No, you're absolutely right. And then they moved the Sabbath from Saturday to Sunday. As a matter of fact, I was talking to one of my high school friends that blocked me on Facebook because I'm that weird that always talks about weird stuff.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, today's the Sabbath, so we're going to keep it holy and we're not going anywhere. And it was Sunday. And I pointed out, well, kind of missed it. The Sabbath was actually yesterday. And she blocked me on Facebook as a result of it. They just don't want to hear it.
Good for you. That's one less person you have to, pull your hairs out trying to reach. That's okay.
Oh.
I wouldn't see that as a bad thing, I guess.
When I was about 20, I dated this girl who was just starting her career in psychology. She was just going through the schooling, and she's still not a psychiatrist yet, or a psychologist. She's working at a prison in the mental health department, and she contacted me on Facebook. Hey, how are you doing? She says, I'm working in a prison now. And I said, really? I said, so what do you think about the fact that the CIA brings in all the drugs? And a lot of the drug cartels own the prisons.
He really
Boom.
did say that.
Blocked.
Yep.
She didn't want to hear.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
That's funny.
I told him it's probably because the friend is afraid she's going to get in trouble with her superiors, because nowadays your employers have to have your login information for your Facebook,
True.
especially if you work at a prison.
It's funny how certain people are attracted into your life for a certain reason, and I'm not sure if you guys agree with this too, but I believe that we pick our parents before we're born. And my dad was a pharmaceutical salesman for Warner Lambert, and he did quite well at it. And but I think I needed to be in a life where I experienced what it was like, to kind of like the inside scoop of the whole pharmaceutical industry. And then as you grow older, you end up learning the truth about it, how Big Pharma hasn't cured anything since polio because there's no money in cure.
Well, and that
and Dr. Leonard Caldwell, he'll tell you that, all cancer can be cured within, I think, 12 weeks, and that there's over 300 cures for cancer. So these things come into your life for a reason. Even when I was a child, going to Sunday school, as soon as I stepped foot into church, I just got the heebie-jeebies, and I couldn't figure out why. And I would constantly question my Sunday school teachers about our earth origins and the timeline of the Bible. And at such a young age, it was as if, one of the things I really wanted to remember when I crossed over, when I came into this incarnation, was to question certain things. And that was one of them. And to this day, I still get the heebie-jeebies when I walk into any church.
I do too. Last time I went to church, my ex-girlfriend dragged me there. She was Greek Orthodox, and she was the type that, I'm half Greek. My mother was Greek. She wanted me to marry a nice Greek girl, So this was me trying to do what my mother wanted for me, because what I wanted for me hadn't worked out up until that point. Working out now, though, with Cherie, though. Thank God. I finally found my Dharma. But we went to the church on Good Friday, and it was midnight mass, and the first thing the pastor did, or the priest, he passed around the collection plate. And then he says, we're going to pass the collection plate around one more time because we're trying to buy the property across the street. So your donations are greatly appreciated. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, this is Good Friday. This was the day that we're celebrating or remembering that our Lord and Savior was crucified and put up on a cross. And you're going to send the collection plate around twice. And that takes priority over
the Son of
everything
God
else.
being.
I said, okay, this is a joke. Forget it. Last time I put in a church.
Right.
I end up answering so many questions on YouTube, and I interact with people on every video. And a lot of people will come on and they'll do their Bible thumping thing, and I'll come back and say that, and I think it's Luke, where Jesus said, if you want to be like me, you'll sell all your possessions and then give that to the poor. Are you willing to do that? And they have no answer for that.
Well,
of course not.
It doesn't go along with the prosperity doctrine. The prosperity doctrine tells them that if they're good little Christians and they tell God what they want, then Santa Claus will give them whatever they want. In the time frame that they ask for it.
Well, and what a lot of people don't realize is that the letter J wasn't invented until the 1500s. So that means that there was no Jesus, Jonah, Jacob, Joseph, yada, yada. It's impossible. And then people will say, well, his name was Yeshua. Well, that's possible. Actually, his name was Yeshua ben Yosef, which translates to Joshua, son of Joseph. So when you're praying to Jesus, you're praying to some dude in Mexico.
Yes.
Jesus.
I believe that if Jesus did walk the earth, that he was like one of us.
Possible.
He told people, hey, chill out, drink some wine, be good to each other, love each other, and the establishment said, nope, we're not going to have this, and crucified him.
But there's no amount of Gnosticism that 1,500 years of horrifying torture by the church doesn't breed out of you.
Right.
Oh, yeah, definitely. When you look at all these morals that the Bible teaches, then you see all these Christians going to war. I mean, the Crusades have never ended. We're still fighting them.
Even Bush said it. He said, this is a crusade. And everybody said, oh, God, no, don't use that word.
Everyone went,
But you know what? There are a lot of great Christian people out there, and I respect them. I totally do. They're following exactly the path that they need to follow, and they got to do what they got to do. And it's not that I belittle religion or Christianity or any other belief system. Everyone's got to do and follow their own path of what they feel is right. And for me, it's Gnosticism. That's what rings the most truth within my own discernment. And I just hope people can respect that as well.
I try not to belittle religion, but it's so difficult. It really is.
Well, I mean,
I hear you.
It's not worth belittling anymore because it's been belittled so much, and it belittles itself so much. It makes
I agree.
the mainstream Christianity nowadays makes itself look so bad to begin with that anything we add on is just going to, be.
Well, it's imploding, just like the education, the government, the money system. It's all imploding. Everything that needs to implode will implode in the near future.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But, Greg, you know what? I think this is one of the last veils that has to be lifted in people's eyes is the veil of religion. I mean, think about this. You're told from the time that you're born that you're going to go to hell if you don't read this book, if you don't follow what it says, if you look away from it. I think that is one of the final tests, at least in this 5 sense reality, to escape the 5 sense reality and get a broader understanding. But once you do, you take it from religion to spirituality, in my opinion. And I know a lot of people are struggling with that. I speak to a lot of people that just can't let go of that religion, even though they know what is wrong with it. Anything you can tell those people?
Well, what they're experiencing is called cognitive dissonance. And that means, you have this belief system. And even though you might feel that there's other options or the truth might not be what you believe in, you still believe in it. That causes the cognitive dissonance. So to them, I would just say one thing. Question everything. If there's stuff in the Bible that doesn't make sense, question it. I mean, people will tell you that the Bible's timeline goes back 6,000 years. So how do you explain anything that's older than 6,000 years? Question everything.
Yes, definitely.
I firmly believe that, and this is the direction that we're heading, is that all religions, all religious texts should be 4 words. Love everyone, respect everything.
Beautiful. I totally agree with you, and I like to discuss law, and we have Mark Stevens on and other people like that, and I think we can get rid of all the laws except for one, and that's don't hurt anybody else or don't damage other people's property, and I think that goes hand in hand with what you're talking about as well, and if we put those 2 ideas together, then we'd have a beautiful world.
Well, definitely, and once, for example, once the government collapses too, it's going to have to be rebuilt, but as everyone knows, the etymology of government means govern to control and meant the mind to control the mind. So what we need to do is to get rid of the whole premise of government and bring in perhaps like a council of elders where every ethnicity and race will be represented. No 2 or 4 year terms or anything like that. No promises of hope and change and whatever. But bring them in and perhaps we vote on them each month or every 6 months. If you're not doing your job and working in the best interests of humanity, you're fired.
Yeah.
It worked for the Native Americans, and it worked for all these ancient cultures.
Yeah, the problem is, though, eventually, if you do put somebody in charge, the pigs will eventually start wearing clothes. They'll eventually start drinking whiskey. They'll eventually start sleeping on mattresses with sheets and covers and everything like that. Animal Farm is what I'm referencing. But power corrupts, absolute power corrupts, absolutely. My view has always been self-governance, autonomous living. I'm not sure if we can achieve that because there's so many lower, I don't want to use the term lower because I don't want to belittle anybody, but there's people of different consciousness and different mindsets that they believe that if they hurt as many people as possible in this world, that is their destiny. Their destiny is to get to the top and get as much money as they can, collect as much property, and whoever they step on, it doesn't matter. We've got to get rid of it.
Fortunately, these energies will change all that, and you won't have to lift a finger. It's just all these negative systems cannot survive in the golden age, in the age of Aquarius. So they're all going to implode. And what we can do, and getting back to these things that have to be rebuilt, the educational system. So we have these FEMA camps sitting around. It's a good place to put the politicians for now, and re-educate them. And maybe once these free energy technologies come out, they can help build them and start contributing to society.
Yes, I agree. And the CEOs of a lot of these companies, too. I recently read an article that the head of Monsanto, I think his name is Hugh Grant, not the actor, but he's
right.
the same name.
Yeah.
But he is all about organic. He's a health nut. It's organic for him and his family, but yet they're going to give GMO to the rest of the people.
Exactly, and they won't serve GMO food in their cafeteria.
Right.
That's crazy.
It just,
of course they won't.
Mm-hmm.
They know.
Well, I mean, just like there was this guy in, I think it was Texas, actually, who was the superintendent of a school district that they made it mandatory for kids to have all their vaccines before they could even come back to school. And they had dogs there barking at the children. I mean, it was like something out of Nazi Germany. And then follows it up with, oh, yeah, I don't vaccinate my own kids.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I guarantee there's no dentist out there right now that's putting fluoride on their children's teeth either.
Oh, no, but they want your kids' teeth to be soaking in it, in that thing that they make them put on their teeth in. Yeah, it's a fluoride varnish is what they call it, varnish.
Well, I'll tell you, people are waking up, and they're turning more to organic. And myself, I've been doing a lot of fruit smoothies and juicing a lot.
Good for you.
Andrew Norton Weber is a fascinating guy. You should probably get him on your show. He talks about this distilled water therapy, and he calls it the fountain of youth. And I swear to God, I've got pictures and an article that attests to his distilled water therapy, where it's like I'm regressing in age. The lines are fading off of my face. It's really bizarre, but my hair's turned back to its original color when it was originally gray for the last 3-4 years. So it's fascinating. So once you really dig into your health and start changing your diet, and what I would recommend is at least looking into the distilled water therapy and checking that out, because you will see the before and after pictures if you go to my website and look that up. It's just astounding. And I refuse to dye my hair. I'm 52 years old. I guess at this point I'm supposed to have gray hair, but...
Whoa. You're 52 years old.
No.
Yep.
Oh, my God.
When I saw your picture on that YouTube video that you put out announcing that you were going to show, it's the first time I saw a picture of you.
35.
I thought you were maybe 25, 26.
Yeah, that picture was taken about a month ago at the drum circle on Fiesta Peak. Yeah.
Wow.
Give us the guy's name one more time. I'm going to write it down.
Yeah.
Pardon me?
Give us that guy.
Andrew Norton Weber.
Okay, we're going to get him on the show, definitely.
For sure.
I really have to hear what he has to say, because apparently he has discovered the fountain of youth.
Uh-huh.
I think so. I really do. And I've talked to a lot of people. They've commented about the videos and stuff like that, and they're saying the same thing. They're saying, Greg, it's happening to me. My hair's turning back to its original color, and I'm seeing the lines starting to fade on my face. And it works. It really does. I'm not saying all my gray hair is gone. There's still a little here, but I mean, gray hair comes from the lack of melanin in the root of the hair follicle. So something is replenishing that melanin back to my hair. And people will say, well, it's because you live in Florida and you go to the beach every day and whatever. But, if that were true, I see the same senior citizens there. They would have, blonde hair as well.
I don't mean to we're running out of time. Give us your websites real quick.
Okay, it's in5D. I am the number 5. D as in dog, in5D as in the fifth dimension, in5D.com.
Excellent. And the other one?
It's Maya, MAYA 12-21-2012.com.
Excellent. And I've got to say, for an introvert, you do one hell of an interview.
Well, thank you. It's easy once you get going, to talk to anybody, but I still prefer not to.
Can you give us a sneak peek of some of the articles that are coming up?
Well, like I said, the main one that I'm working on is the one about seeing energies that are in your peripheral vision. So that'll be coming out probably before the weekend.
Excellent. Great.
By the end of the weekend, yeah.
We really appreciate your time. Thank you for all.
It's been a pleasure. And thank you for all you're doing. Continue to do a great job.
Likewise, my friend. Take care. And ladies and
gentlemen, take care now. Bye-bye.
Gregg of in5D.com. We'll be right back right after this quick break. We've got plenty more to come right here on Truth Frequency.